Hello friends, welcome to ELS English Literature Studies with Gaur Harpreet. Today I will discuss poetry between two world wars, and these are the topics I am going to discuss today. Firstly, I will give introduction what I am going to discuss today. Then I will discuss about Thomas Hardy, Robert Bridges, Lawrence Binyon and W.B. Yeats. I will also discuss the Georgians and the images. So let's get started. And friends, अगर आप लोगों ने मेरे चैनल को अभी तक सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया है, प्लीज़ डू कंसिडर सब्सक्राइबिंग माई चैनल एंड प्लीज़ hit the like button. It means a lot to me, right? So let's get started with today's topic, that is about poetry between two world wars, or we can say not on interwar poetry. Friends, the years between the two world wars, when the war broke out, 1919 to 1939, witnessed prolific poetic activity. Moreover, the happenings of modern war, the extraordinary scenes, the intense emotions of fear, the emotions of despair, the intense emotions of grief, all these combined to draw verses from men who otherwise would never have written poetry. The number of poets who were thus created by the war, together with them who were already poets before the war began, right? There were some who were not directly involved in war, but being affected in one way or another by the war, wrote poems about it. The war itself was over, that the war had changed nearly all the conditions of their lives, right? We all of us aware of this fact कि जब भी कहीं पे war होती है तो युद्ध लगता है तो वहाँ पे क्या डिस्ट्रक्शन होती है, कैसे वहाँ पे लोगों की फीलिंग्स होती हैं, कैसे वहाँ सीन्स होते हैं, डिस्पेयर होता है, ग्रीफ होता है. और उस टाइम पीरियड में जो भी पोइट्स थे देवर, चाहे वो इसमें इन्वॉल्व थे चाहे नहीं थे, चाहे वॉर के टाइम वो पोइट बने या फिर वॉर से पहले थे, ऑल ऑफ देम वर we can say this war had changed the conditions of their lives, right? It was a war that affected almost every British mind capable of creating poetry. And the work of men already well known that I'm going to discuss today, like Thomas Hardy, then Robert Bridges, they were influenced by the war, and it was a period when tradition and innovation went side by side. In this direction of innovation, we also find such groups as the imagists, symbolists, and surrealists working, right? Whereas we also find some traditionalists fighting a battle against the forces of change. However, most of the poets of this age combined tradition and innovation. The changes which came upon poetry may be summed up in the words of Samuel C. Chu. He says that poetry became obscure, experimental, irregular, antagonistic to didacticism, indifferent to any social value, the private language of small coteries, with much dependence upon verbal subtleties and patterns of association so complex, unstable, and fleeting as sometimes to become presently incomprehensible to the writers themselves, right? He also remarks it is a question whether poetry became esoteric because the public had abandoned it, or whether the public abandoned it because it had become historic. But in spite of all this experimentation, many old and some new poets of the period were broadly traditional in their craft when the First World War ended in 1918, right? Thomas Hardy, then Robert Bridges, and W.B. Yeats, Lawrence Binyon, they were still active, right? Thomas Hardy, he remained pessimistic as ever depressed. All of his poems are full of the spirit of aesthetic pessimism. Robert Bridges was the poet laureate from 1913 to 1930. His Testament of Beauty came in 1929 when he was 85 years old, right? He was 85 years old. Why I'm mentioning age? Because Even at this stage, his work displays a wonderful perception which enlivens his mature philosophical speculation, right? Next is Lawrence Binyon, who succeeded T.S. Eliot in the Norton Professorship of Poetry at Harvard. He published his two works, The Sirens and The Idols. These two poems as eclectic poems in the first decade of the interregnum under review, right? Binyon called each of these two poems an age, though they are altogether alien to any English age. When we talk about The Sirens, his first work, The Sirens, the theme is man's power over nature, which goes on increasing day by day. Man is really great. And when we talk about his second work, The Idols is directed against the terrors. It is directed against the superstitions, which are man's own creation and which hold him captive. Lawrence Binyon, he makes a plea for the demolition of these false gods, right? Next is W.B. Yeats. W.B. Yeats started his writing career as a poet in the 19th century, right? He started his career in the 19th century. 19th century, and the period between the two wars bring us to consider his later poetry as we find it in his Tower. His later poetry is very different from his early poetry. Grierson and Smith, they point out the difference in these words, later poetry and early poetry. The difference between Yeats' early poetry and later poetry reminds one of the early and later poetry of Donne. But Yeats has changed in the opposite direction, from the ideal to the real, the spiritual to the sensuous. Some of his later poems are almost definitely bawdy, right? And in the later part of his career, W.B. Yeats, he came under the modernistic imagist influence of Ezra Pound. Next is the Georgians. Friends, during this period, there were many Georgians who started writing poetry between First World War, and they continued writing up to the period between two world wars. Among them were Walter de la Mare, Masefield, and Gibson. When we talk about de la Mare, he was a poet of childhood and the supernatural before the First World War. However, after the war, at least for once, he became a realist of this grimmest kind, right? Masefield, he celebrated the return of peace to England in his poetry. First one was de la Mare, Walter de la Mare. Second is Masefield, and third is Wilfred Wilson Gibson. One of the leaders of the Georgian school of poets, continued writing poems and plays beyond the First World War. His poems on the war are instinct with bitterness, with realism, and a controlled but devastating irony, right? Most of the poets became disillusioned because of the large scale destruction that was going on during this time period, and their poetry is still pessimistic. Actually, they were influenced by Humean theology, which is anti humanistic, and according to Thomas Ernest Hume, T.S. Hume, man is not the roof and crown of all things. Man is basically a helpless creature. He can be saved only by the grace of God, right? Friends, next is the Imagists. The Imagist movement in English poetry, it was the product of the period between the two wars. T.S. Hume, Ezra Pound, Hilda Doolittle, Eldington, and F.S. Flint. These were the protagonists of this movement. The Imagists, they defined poetry as the presentation of the visual situation in the fewest possible concrete words. They defined poetry to create new rhythms for the expression of new moods. First is, I'm repeating that poetry as the presentation of the visual situation in the fewest possible concrete words, right? Second is poetry is to create new rhythms for the expression of new moods. Third is to allow absolute freedom in the choice of subject, right? Number 4, to present an image, not vague generalities. Number 5, we can say, is to produce poetry that is hard and clear. And number 6 is to produce poetry that number 6 is concentration is the very essence in poetry. Apart from the poets mentioned above, D.H. Lawrence, he also came under the influence of the Imagist movement, though his influence was not to continue for long, right? T.S. Eliot, the greatest of the modern poets, he started his career as a poet during the course of the war with his prufrock and other observations, but his greater and more characteristic works came later. That is Wasteland, The Hollow Man, Ash Wednesday, and the rest, right? T.S. Eliot, he was the founder of the modernistic school of poetry, which even today is quite flourishing, right? He himself, as a poet, came under the influence of many schools and many writers. The Imagist movement, the views of T.S. Hume, the Symbolist movement of France, Freud's ideas, the poetry of Donne may be mentioned among them. T.S. Eliot rehabilitated the 17th century of Donne. Then we have Miss Edith Sitwell, who performed many experiments in poetry. She had used bold and artistic imagery, and her special feature was her constant utilization of the effects of synesthesia, that is, interchanging senses. There are other poets like Herbert Read and Robert Graves, who were under the influence of the psychoanalytic studies of Freud, Jung, and Adler, right? Robert Graves, for some time saw nothing but sexual symbols in everything. And Herbert, who wrote surrealistic poetry, which is expressive of the unconscious and has to be read most carefully to get at something. And these experiments paved the way for the stream of consciousness novel, right? So friends, these were the topic I have mentioned in the thumbnail, but I would also like to add the Irish poets, so that it will be a complete note on this, that is the Irish poets. Between the wars, there was a tremendous resurgence of literary activity in Ireland, and the chief moving force was W.B. Yeats himself. The other notable Irish poets of the world were G.W. Russell and J.M. Synge, right? And the most important poets of the second decade of the period between the wars are C.D. Lewis, W.H. Auden, and Stephen Spender. All of them are followers of Eliot, and they have tried to establish a school of new metaphysical poetry. Friends, if you want these notes in written form, you can mail me. Address will be given in the description box. We were talking about Auden, who is learned, but his technique is unpredictable. He is indeed a clever poet. And C.D. Lewis is the most manifest of revolutionaries. Spender is a poet less of revolution than of compassion, right? These are the Irish poets. C.D. Lewis, W.H. Auden, and Stephen Spender. C.D. Lewis is the most manifest of revolutionaries, and W.H. Auden is learned, but his technique is unpredictable, and Spender is a poet less of revolution than of compassion. So friends, this is all about today's topic. I hope you will like the content, and if you like it, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe my channel. And if you are new to my channel, please hit the bell button so that you can get notifications for my upcoming videos. Thanks a lot for watching.